Alright, so welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful and exciting tutorial, still continuing from the previous tutorial in which we're trying to fix the problem of assigning labels to GitHub issues, we're trying to see this particular app that we built in, right? Okay, so to recap, this is what we did previously. We are trying to use the result of this particular data analysis and data science project to build this wonderful app. So if I come back here and I pick, let's pick one from here. Let's pick another one. So this is a enhancement. So I'll copy this one here, the particular issue, and to copy this particular issue, and then you make some analysis, right? So I'll paste it here. If I paste it inside from here and I click on predict, we will be able to get the prediction whether this one is an enhancement, is a documentation, is a question, or is a bug, right? So as you see, our model was able to predict one as an enhancement. Let's compare it and see. This is an enhancement, right? So this is what we're trying to build. So we have already built a model, and we are trying to use it to build a wonderful app in Streamlit, and you can get the prediction result. So this 98%, as you can see from here, enhancement, 1.9% a bug, and then 0 points. So it is not even a question at all, right? Very simple. So this is a simple app we'll be trying to build in this wonderful tutorial. Very simple, and everything that we are entering here is going to be stored using SqlModel behind the scene, right? So we'll be storing everything that we are building. If I go back again to the workflow, whatever is being stored will be, whatever we are passing into the app will be stored using SqlModel behind the scene. If I go back and I check it out, this is already stored inside behind the scene. Very simple. So let's see. So this is in a way, this is like a data collection system that collects data. So let's see how to build this wonderful app from scratch using Streamlit and then Python. Okay, so I'll go back again to my workspace. So let's stop this app that we're working on, and then we will build this one up. So I'll go out from here into our location. Right, perfect. So I'll come back to the same place that we're working on, where we had our notebook. Right, so we had our notebook and data set. We already have our models that we'll be using, right? So we'll be using these particular models, and then we want to create another folder called app, in which inside my app folder I'm going to create my stuff. So I'm going to create my first app.py. So we can also use WebGenesis, so WebGenesis to make our work easy for us. But let's go straight away and then work on it. So let's use WebGenesis, right? So I'm going to be using WebGenesis to make our work easy for us. So in case you don't have, you can just go with pip install WebGenesis, right, to make it easy. Or you can just copy the file from our GitHub repository, right? It's available on GitHub, so you can fetch it from our repository there. Okay, so let's move on. So it's going to be Python 3, can't spell Python 3, WebGenesis. So this is how it is. This is something simple that we were using some time ago. That should help. This is just to make our work easy, right? So in case I want to create a simple basic setup project, I can just go with this option, right? So WebGenesis create, and I'll specify. If I go with help, you can see the results, right? So I can just pick a Streamlit app. So you can use WebGenesis to spin up a simple basic template for Flask, Express, Streamlit, Bottle, Quad, Tornado, Fast API, Streamlit Multipage. So you are using Streamlit Multipage to help us with that task. So it's going to be this option here. Then I'm just going to go with like Streamlit Multipage, and let's give the name of our app. Let's call it as GitHub Issue. Yeah, let's make it like this. Issue Classifier. Man, the name is long, but you build it anyway, right? So let's move into it. And as you can see, we have our file there. So let's open it to Sublime, and then we'll start writing some code. Okay, so we already have it here. So this is up, and then we have 2 page and about. So let's add a monitor page to it, right? And then from here, I'm just going to duplicate this one for the monitor. So else if, right? And let's call this one as monitor page, right? Yeah, we can call it monitor, you can call it storage, anyhow you want it to be, right? Perfect. So we have this very simple app. So let's run the app. So we are just importing Streamlit as ST. Then we are creating a simple function in which we have our sidebar menu here, and then our option of selecting different choices, and then we are going to be running the app here, right? So let's also import the other things we need. So I'm going to import joblib to load our model, and I'm also going to import OS and then date time. So date time to help us with our stuff, right? So we'll explain that one later. And then also let's import pillow. So from pillow import images, image, right? Perfect. So these are the main stuff you need. So we're going to create some functions to load model, right? So that is a simple function. So load model function, and this is going to take in the model file, right? The person supplies. Then we're going to be loading the model. So let's go to my model, which is going to be the joblib dot load. I'm going to pass in my open os.path.join. I'm going to pass in the model file. To open that particular file, and I'm going to be reading it. Right, perfect. So that is something very basic. So let's open it here as read byte, right? Then you're going to be returning that particular model. Perfect, right? That is something simple we are doing. So this is a function using to load our model. Perfect. So let's go back again, and then let's load the model. So let's call this one as issue classifier. I'm going to load that particular model. I'm passing into my data folder that we had. I'm going to pass in my model, or let's call it as models folder. I'm passing the model there. So let's go back to the app. I come back to the app. This is the model. So we have two different models. I'll copy this model, go back again into my app option, create into this particular place, create another folder called models. Perfect. So this was the model that we're using, right? So we are the one that we used in the previous tutorial, using the decision tree, which we have placed inside our models folder here, right? You can also use the naive base if you want. Okay, that is something very simple. Now let's also add some functions to save us time. I'll paste them here. So this is going to be useful to help us plot the prediction probability. So we're going to pick in the particular term, then we're going to be applying the model on it to get the prediction itself, and then the probability, right, based on the classes which we saw some time ago. Okay, and then you're using alter to help us plot. So we have to import alter too. So import alter as alt, right? Perfect. That is something very basic. Now, and then for the image, we are using a simple function to help us load our image. Let's go back again and apply the other option. So we need a place to paste in our text. So this is going to be for our form. So with st.form, right? I'm going to pass in the label of the form, or the key for the form. So let's go to my form, or we can give it any name. Then let's give my test area. So let's go to tissue, test issue. So st.test area, right? Perfect. So this is going to be enter GitHub issue. So GitHub issue here. Okay, then we need a button. So submit button. It's going to be st.form submit button. Form submit button. I'm going to specify the label. So let's call this one as predict, right? Perfect. That is all. So this is going to be our form, which is going to receive the input. So let's run the app to make sure that everything is working. So I'll go back again to the place that we have. So if I check it out, everything is working as expected. So to run the app, just go with Streamlit run app.py. So whilst it is opening, I'll just come down to the app itself, and then we also need to create our layout, right? Creating our layout. So this is going to be where we'll be specifying what we want to do, right? So let's create our layout for 2. So column 1, column 2, so st dot columns. I'm going to pass in my layout, so two different layouts. I'm going to say that with column 1, I want to do something. So before the person move on with the layout, you want to be able to work on the button, right? So let's make it this way. So I'll come back here, so that if the submit button is clicked on, then I'll bring my layout first, right? So if the person click on the submit button, then bring the layout. So these two different layouts, right? Perfect. So what I will do is that this is going to be the layout, which is going to have the st dot. Let's give it is opening. The app is now opening with my default browser. Let's use Chrome. So I'll come down here, let's call it as info. This is going to be the original test, so original test, original issue, right? And then this is going to be st.test. I'll pass in the test issue that the person supplied. Let's save it. It's already opening here, so I'll copy this one and I'll use Chrome to open it, right? So in case you have any question or contribution, you can also put that in the comment section below. And we also have some materials on our page and on Udemy, some wonderful courses that you can also check it out. And then you can also support us and sponsor us on Patreon. Okay, voila, so the app is working as expected. So let's go with always rerun. So we have an option here, so everything works. So if I paste in hello predict, we want to see whether everything is working as expected. So original test has come, right? Perfect. Now we need to be able to get an option to show the prediction as well as the probability. So I'll come down to the app. So I'll come down here to be using the model to make our prediction. So let me position them well. Right. So we'll be using the model. So we already have our model at the top here, right? Which I've already loaded. So we'll be using the model to make our prediction. But this is a pipeline. So I'll come down here and call it as my prediction. Prediction, right, which is going to be the issue classifier dot predict. Now passing into bracket my test issue, right? Perfect. And then we also need to get the prediction probabilities, so we can also come down and say, okay, predict proba, the same thing we had, the issue dot predict proba. Now passing my test issue. Perfect, right? So we have gotten the prediction probability as well as the prediction. Then I can just come down here and then say, okay, st.info, this is going to be the prediction, which in this case is going to be my st.write. I'll take the prediction and then get the first value out. So let's save it and see. So let me pick some issues from here. Yeah, let's pick the same issue we're using. So I'll copy this one, our test issue, go back to the app. So I'll paste it here. So let's try it out. Hopefully it's going to work. Click on predict and let's see the result. So this is an enhancement, as we saw here. This was an enhancement, so that means that our app is working as expected. So we are done with most of the part of the app. We also need to get the prediction probability, which you have already gotten, but we want to be able to plot it in a very nice format, right? So before we plot it out, I want to get it in the format of dictionary. So let's call this probabilities, right? I want to get in the format of dictionary. So dictionary zip, and I want to get this particular value here together with the classes. So it's simple. I'll just pass in my issue classifier dot classes, right? Let's go to the first one, and then I also want to pass in my probability, prediction probability. So predict proba. So let's check it out and see. So I'll come down here, st.write. Let's go with the probabilities. I'll come down, let's run it. Okay, so predict proba is not defined because of how we give the name. It's supposed to be pred proba, not predict proba. So in case you have any question or contribution, you can also let us know, and let me know how the audio is. Okay, so it is able to give it to us in a very nice format. So we'll be storing this particular result together with the test into our model, right? Model store. So everything is working. So how do we plot this one out? So we already had a function above to plot it. So we'll be using this particular function to plot our plots, right, in the other session. So I'll come down, I'll come the next column. So with column 2, I want to do plot it. So plot the term, so test issue. So let's see. So I'm going to also have the plot beside it for that particular term. So predict. So PD is not defined, so we have to import pandas to help us with our stuff. So import pandas as PD, right? Because we are using pandas to help us with our plot. So whilst we are importing pandas, I also want to be able to add a very nice feature to our app, which is called the Streamlit Metric, right? So St.Metric. So I'll come down here. So the St.Metric goes like this. So we have this an example of the St.Metric. So st.metric. That is how it goes. Let me show you how. So st.help, pass in the St.Metric so that you see what I mean. So I'll come down. Let's predict. Right, let me expand it. So we have gotten our plot, very nice plot, together with the probability and then a plot here, right? Very cool. So let's see the St.Metric. The St.Metric from Streamlit makes it easy to display a metric in big bold letters. It takes the label, right, the value, and then the delta, right, and the delta color. By default, it's normal. So let's see how to use the St.Metric to make our work beautiful, right? So instead of just showing the plot, I also want to show the metrics here. So I'll come down to the app and let's see how to work with it. So we already have seen how it works. So I'll just go back here and let's try it out. So let me get out of all of the columns and just go with st.metric. It takes the label as we saw. So let's give that particular label, can give it, say, accuracy or something, right? And then the next one is going to be the value. So the value can be, let's say, 95, 94, right? And then it takes in a delta. So the delta is going to be another value, right? The change, right? Delta. So let's go, let's say negative 0.2, right? And let's say a value f, yeah, or percent, something like that. So if I save it now and I come back here, we are going to have our metrics displayed in a very nice format today. So I'll predict, make some predictions, and then we can see the result. So with the metrics, you see that we have the accuracy, which was the label, we have the value, and we have the delta. So the moment you just put anything negative for the delta about the metric, let's come back. If you put in anything negative for the delta, it gives the negative, a downward arrow. If I change it one from negative to positive, it's going to give it a green positive arrow, upward arrow, and then the color is going to change. To predict, you can also invert the color using the delta argument. So now it has changed to green, right? You can also invert it. So we have gotten it in a very nice format for the accuracy. So we want to be able to show the accuracy, the prediction, or the prediction probabilities for each and every one of the various classes. So how do we do that? So I can easily come down here. So this is just the default one. Let's create some columns. So let's go to C1, C2, C3. Then I'm going to specify, because there are 3 classes, then st.columns. Let's go with 3. different columns. Then I'm going to say for C1, I want you to bring my metric, right? Metric is still inherited. Then I'm going to pass in, for the first one is going to be enhancement. And then since this one is a dictionary, I can now just bring that particular key out. So this is going to be for the label. Right, so the label is going to be enhancement. The value is going to be the probability. Then I'm picking the enhancement. So enhancement. Right. Then for me to get the actual prediction, right, the particular value, I want to get that value also in a different percentage, right? So how do I do that? That's going to be for the delta. So delta. Then let's use normal string formatting. So dot format. I'm passing the probability, which is going to be the enhancement. Right, perfect. And let's make it like percentage here. So let's see if we can see. Come down to the app. So we're trying to just get for the first one. So we'll make a prediction, and then after we have made a prediction, we want to see what you have done so far. Well, I see that we have gotten the enhancement as a particular class, and then the result here, right? And this is 1%, as you could see. So it's very nice, it's very cool. Let's repeat the same thing for the rest. So I want to repeat this for the bag, and then for the next one. Right, perfect. So let's save it and see. Come down. So let's pick a different one that is going to give us more results. So I'll pick this one here. This is a bag, 100% bag. I want to try it on a different data set. So using the old one, we already know this is an enhancement. I'll paste this one here, predict. We want to be able to get all the different probabilities for each and every of the classes, not just one, right? So this is a bag, it's almost 100% the same, right? Very nice. So it is in this particular format. The reason it's in this format is because of how we position it, right? We are supposed to change this one from C1 to C2 for the next column, third column, so that it becomes horizontal. And then one of the things that I think is better, we run these particular numbers. So let's check it out again. So this is 100% back. That's why it's just showing it here. So C3 is not defined. So that it was able to give one here, 1, 2 here. Let's check it out. It's supposed to be C3. Okay, so that is how to use the Streamlit Metric. It's very nice. So you specify the label, you specify the value, and then you specify the delta, right? Perfect. So in our case, you are trying to use the prediction probability to be able to do this wonderful nice feature. So I'll also add another one. Let's pick one that is having multiple stuff. So we have enhancement, we have pack, one, something like this. Yeah. So let's copy this one. This is enhancement together with some things that is not part of it. So I'll copy this, and then we'll try it in our work. So it's working. All of them is working. I'll try it on something different. So this is an enhancement plus something that was not part of the model. Right, it's still giving us the same thing, right? Very nice. So I think our model is very, very accurate. So it's able to give us this particular prediction. You can actually run this particular number so that it doesn't look ugly. So you can use NumPy to run it later on. Right? So in case you want to run it, just go with NumPy.round. We want to round it to, let's say, the nearest 3 decimal places. So 3. So we need to import NumPy. So import NumPy. You can also use this thing, import NumPy as NP. So you have seen how to build a very simple app that actually works. So the next option is we want to be able to store the result that the person is submitting to a store, right? So I'm going to call it as a prediction store. So you're using SqlModel to help us with that. So in case you don't have it, let's go with pip install SqlModel, right? That is a particular package which is coming from Triangolo Fast API option. So if I check it out, okay, we want to store the result into a model. So I'll go back to the app. I'm going to create that particular option here. So let's go back here, back. Okay, so let's go. This is going to be for the storage in SQL, right? So we'll be using SqlModel. So it's going to be from SqlModel import field to create our field. We also need to import the SqlModel class. So field session to make interactions, our SqlModel, right, which is going to be our base class, then create engine class to help us make connections to our database, and then select option to make us do some selection, right? You can also use typing. So from typing, import optional. You can also import optional. You can import all the other stuff. So let's create our prediction class. So it's going to be my class prediction store, right? Now inherit it from SqlModel. Then let's specify that we want to create a table. So table is equal to true. Then we can also give the name of the table if you want, right? Sometimes, in case you want to make sure that if the table exists, continue, just go with my table add. Then you can also specify the table name there, but let's go straight away with this. Then go specify, okay, extend existing. You set it as sort true, right? So that in case, like, if table exists, continue to add something to it, right? Okay, perfect. That is something very basic. Now let's create an ID. So this is going to be an optional, which in this case is going to be int, and let's set that one as my field. So the field is coming from all of these things is from SqlModel. The field is going to be the particular column field we want. Let's specify the default to be equal to none, and then let's specify this one as my primary key. So this, the ID is going to be my primary key. Perfect. We also need to store the test issue. So we are storing the test issue as string. It's already a string. Then we also need to store the prediction, the particular prediction. We are also storing it as a string. Then we also need to store the probability. This is also going to be in the format of a float, that particular value. Then one of the things that sometimes is better you store the time in which the data will save. So let's store the time. So let's go as my date. Then this is going to be optional. Then let's pass in the time. So I have to be using date time. So from, let's go with import date time. So import date time. Then I'll just come back to date time. So date time, that's the class that I'll be using, and let's set that one as none, right? So this is going to create a simple class, SqlModel class, behind the scene using SqlModel, and establish a table for us. So I'll come down here. So how do we add it to our work? So anytime the person click on our model and everything, the prediction, everything has been saved, we want to be able to store the result. So I'll store the result here. So I can store the result here, or I can store the result here, anyhow you want it to be. So let's store the result here. So let's store results, right? So it's going to be with session. So this session is coming from SqlModel. Then the engine. So we need to create an engine. So the engine is going to be the path to your database, right? So we need to specify that one here. So let's go back here. Let's go this engine. So create engine. Then I'll specify the path to it. So we are using SQLite to make it easy for us. So SQLite. Then the particular database. So let's store inside data slash. Let's call it as data.SQLite, or it can be DB as you want. DB. Perfect. And then we need to be able to initialize it. Dot create metadata dot create. Oh, this is similar to, in case you're doing the same thing, db dot create or in Flask, right? And I'll pass in the engine, which is going to be the path. So this is going to be the path, so path to db, right? Perfect. And this is going to create the db, right, in a table. Perfect. Okay, so let's go back and add it to it. So with session, this session is coming from SqlModel, connect to the database. So as session. So in case you are working in Streamlit, right, you should make sure that you check the naming well so that it doesn't affect it. So this session is totally different from Streamlit sessions. Right, perfect. Then I'll go with session dot add. I'll pass in the data. So let's pass in that particular data. So let's store everything into prediction data, into the class prediction store, which is going to take in the various arguments. So the test issue is going to be test issue. The next one was the prediction. It's going to be the prediction 0. Then the next one was the probability. It's going to be the probability. So it's a dictionary, so probability I'm going to pick in for that particular one. So to get, we don't know which one is going to be, so we can get the maximum value. So to get the maximum value, we are using this predict prober, this particular predict prober, to get the maximum value here. So most of the time the maximum value is going to be the actual prediction accuracy. So I'll just go with numpy.max opacity, right? So this is going to give me the maximum value there. Perfect. And let's specify the datetime. So date is going to be my datetime dot datetime now. Right. Perfect. So this is going to store the time. This is going to store the maximum probability, right? The accuracy score, and this is going to be the prediction itself, and then the rest, right? Then we need to be able to add this. So to add this particular data to our database, just go with session.add and pass in my class that I created, so prediction data. Then I have to commit it to save it, right? So session.commit. That is all. So let's make sure that everything is working as expected. There's an error here. Let's fix it. Yeah, everything is working as expected. So it's giving us an error. Let's check the error. So yeah, this is one of the issues that we have, right? So index score already exists, blah 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 blah, right? So one of the ways of fixing it is that let me delete it and start over. So because of the issue, what I did was that I stopped it and then I deleted it, right? I deleted the data and then I restarted it up. Right, so let's see whether it's going to work. That's one thing I think is going to be a little bit an issue for SqlModel, right? But let's try something new. That is why that's the point of this tutorial. Okay, everything works, right? Perfect. So there was no error. That means that the data was saved. Let's try another issue. So dynamic Streamlit form. I don't get what it means by dynamic Streamlit form. Okay. And one nice feature about the new Streamlit option that now you can actually modify this stuff here. So this is also going to be an enhancement, right? 100%. Perfect. So we have been able to save our data. Right, so if I go back to the dataset, so let's go back again to here. If I go back into my data folder, right, see it into data, I check it out. If I can just open this one with SQLite 3, my data folder, .db, I go with .tables, and I just created the prediction store, right, from SQL, which is referring to this particular class we created, right? And then it's going to have all of these various fields there together with the data. So let's check and see. So let's check the data. So select all from prediction store. Right, so now it has, you have the data there, so it is able to save the data there, and you can keep this one to use it to do whatever you want to do for your next machine learning model or for your retraining, right? Because you are still storing it, and it's giving us the prediction, the class, and then this one. So in case you want to get there, let's just go with dot mode, dot header, and all of these things, right? Okay, so that is something very simple. Okay, so let's move on. In case you want to show this particular data set, you can just go back again to the monitor section and convert it to data frame, or read it like that straight away. So I'll come down, it is called monitor. In case you want to get the data set back, just go with the same thing. So with session, and pass in the engine for the database as session, and then just go with my statement that you want. So statement is going to be my select. So this select is coming from SQL, so prediction score for the model, right? Select all, then I can now get the result back. So result is going to be my session dot execute. I pass in the statement. And in case I want to get every result, all, then I can now dot write this particular result. So this is how to fetch data. So just the normal SQL select option. So select everything from this particular data and return the entire result. Right? So you first of all connect to the database using sessions. You pick your database or a table and your statement. You execute your statement. You return the result. So let's check it out. So this is going to be monitor. So let's save it. Always rerun. So in case you have any question or contribution, you can put it inside the comment section below. And apologies for how long the video has been. So let's fix the indentation error. So let's go back to the monitor. I call it monitor, but you can give it any name. So you have gotten a result back, right? So you can convert this one into a data frame. So thank you for watching this tutorial. In case you have any question or contribution, you can put it inside the comment section below. So to recap, what we did was that we built a simple app that has a very simple feature. From the previous tutorial we did, we just had a simple part of the app that receives GitHub issues, and then using the model that we pre-trained, we're able to make some predictions. So all we did was that first of all, we imported our packages, and then we created a simple class to help us store our database inside SQL, right, using SqlModel. And then we also created an engine, right, which is going to be a connection to the database. We initialized and created a table in our database. Then we had some functions to load our model, another function to plot our predictions, another one to load our image, which we are not using. Then we just went with the straight simple stuff. So we created a form to receive input from the user, which is referring to this particular form here, right? Then when the button is clicked on, we return the result in 3 different formats. The normal format, we store the result, we also plot the result, and we show it in the format of a metric. So let's try the last one, and then we will be done. So let's copy this one here. So the code and the results and the app is going to be in a GitHub repository, so you can also check it out. So let's check it out. Perfect. So thank you for watching this tutorial. See you another time. Adios. Baka baka. So you can also check out some of this wonderful course for more, right? So for Streamlit, for bioinformatics, for building machine learning web app, NLP, for Go, and then for CLIs. So thank you for watching. See you in the next session. Stay blessed.